Good afternoon. Welcome to the Country Computer Consultant. This old well here is hand dug back in 1929. It goes about 42 feet down. Now can you imagine the poor guys that had to dig that thing by hand? Get all the way down there with all the fumes and all sorts of stuff. Climb back up, one bucket of dirt at a time. Still works. So if our main well goes out, we can always get the bucket and pulley and get water out of there. We've actually had to do that time when I ripped out the plumbing with the tractor about a year ago. Girls had to do their hair that night from the hand dug well, and it worked out all right. Well, let's talk about the well of employment. How about that? You know, with unemployment around 8.9% now, of course those are the U3 numbers. And I count them differently. Unemployment is calculated differently than it was back when I was younger, back in the 70s. Those are called the U6 numbers. U6 numbers include the people that stopped looking for work or took just a part-time job. They're not really fully employed. Those numbers are around almost 15%. So close to double of what the government's saying it really is. Things getting tight. A lot of people looking for a job. Well, things are different nowadays with the computer age, internet. I haven't had to submit a resume in almost 19 years. Back 1990, the last resume I actually turned into somebody was repairing it. Hard copy, handed it to them, they read it. A couple weeks later, got a call, I'm in. Those days are gone now. A lot of that stuff is online. There's a new way to do it, and it's got to be done right. A lot of these companies now are going through hundreds, if not thousands, of resumes just for a handful of jobs. You got to make yours really stand out. Now, here's the scary part about all that stuff, is that I think the numbers last time I looked is that less than 25%, sometimes down to 6% of the resumes submitted online, you know, you go to those websites, whether it's a large company or a head hunting group, and you submit your resume online, fill in the online form, 25% down to 6% are ever read by a human being. Can you believe that? They got software, scan for keywords, look for different categories, strengths, area, expertise, background, education. So all those components of your resume are extremely critical because there's no heart in it. It's all done by software, cold machines. That's going to make the first cut. Okay, so that means at least 3 out of 4 people, maybe 9 out of 10 are going to get cut by software. So you got to make sure that your resume is keyed, is customized to make it through that first cut, or you won't get a call, you won't get an email, you won't hear from a human being that actually hires you. So first thing you want to do for anything is make sure you spell check and grammar check your dadgum resume. If you're cutting and pasting it onto an online form make sure your meat, your text is verified first. Have somebody else take a second look at it. Have a proofreader. You know, my wife proofs all these articles that I write for the Brittle Banner Press. Thank God. You wouldn't believe some of the stuff, you know, as I'm writing, the kids are walking around, I'm watching Fox News, I'm thinking of this, and, you know, I'm typing. Sometimes what I put through my fingers isn't exactly on my head. And so the spell check gets a lot of stuff, but that grammar check is what gets me. So make sure you have somebody else read it. Not just the spell check and the grammar check that's done by Microsoft Word. Make sure you have another human. That's pretty good, you know. Make sure you didn't get a high school dropout to read it, you know. My wife has a master's, so she's really good at that stuff. And she's highly critical, so that helps too. It's always good to have your best critic read your work. Works good. Alright, next, you want to make sure that their keywords are good. Now what I mean by that is a lot of the software that filters that stuff out are looking for specific keywords. Cisco routing, Cisco routers, Microsoft certs, just the exact keywords. If there's a help wanted ad, or you heard or read about something about a certain lot of jobs in tech or whatever industry, make sure that you're using those same keywords that it's in that ad. okay? Because that filter, that software filter that does about the 75 to 90% cut is going to be scanning for those keywords. Make sure you have those in there so you get picked out and not lopped off. Alright, next is they might have sort of a online questionnaire after you fill in all the important parts. An online questionnaire might ask you your favorite hobbies, TV show, who you like, what you don't like. Be careful about that, because what they've done is given the same poll questions to their current employees. And then they take a set of the top performers, how they answered it, and then the set of answers of their low performers and how they answered it. And I hope you answered those questions in the same quality, if you will, as the top performers. Because if yours is some, you're my favorite TV show, my favorite pastime is watching American Idol, and I love MySpace, blah, blah, blah. You might be in these underperformers. They're going to cut you there. Make sure you have some good answers. Try to be as truthful as you can, of course, but you don't need to let out the silly stuff, if you know what I mean. Also, they might put you through some what-if questions. Go about answering them the type of job that you're going to go for. You know, if this is a sales job, hey, you're Mr. Cutthroat. Don't give it between you and a PO. That's what they want to look for. They don't want to look for a type B. Well, whatever happens, happens. I'm a yes man, blah, blah. Now, if you're a sales guy, cutthroat, that's what you want. Software guy, you want to make sure you're meticulous. You want to answer those what-if questions based on what they're looking for. Okay? What else here? Now, remember, when you're doing your resume, cover the basics. You got to make sure you got your objective. What kind of job you're looking for. Make sure it matches what they're offering. They don't want some guy unhappy that's going to bail within 6 months after they get them adjusted. Make sure your education is on there. You know, all your diploma, of course, your any type of degrees, certifications are big. Make sure all those are in there, and make sure you don't BS that crap. All that's traceable. Put the true stuff down. You don't have to make stuff up. Make sure you got all your experience in there. Go back at least 5 to 10 years. Goes back as far as you can. Put more detail in the past 5 years compared to 10 or 15 years ago. You know, make it meatier. You know, meat as far as content as the more recent. Okay, don't get the details from 15 years back. Is what I'm saying there. Make sure you have a good technical summary. Make sure they understand what you want to do for them. There's a lot of good sites out there to post your resume. Use the shotgun effect. Don't just, you know, send your resume to one company or fill out that online form for an application for a job. Man, you got to shotgun it. There's a lot of yahoos trying to find jobs out there. You got to get as many irons in the fire as you can. Monster.com. You see them advertise. They are one of the big boys. Okay, they cater towards tech people. Next is Dice.com. They have full-time, part-time, and some contract stuff. If you're really focusing on some local area type work, look at Craigslist. You know, that it's a low-cost way to do it, zero-cost way to do it, and a lot of people are looking on there just to see if you're this part of town or this part of the state. That helps good. Hot Jobs and Career, hotjobs.com is good. It's a great place to help you build a good resume. Next is careerbuilder.com. That's a good one to check out too. All right, so remember this: deliver a good resume online. Remember the tricks that I showed you about the keywords. Make sure you answer the trick questions right, and make sure your content is good and correct. You got to make sure that you have every advantage possible to make this work. All right? Good luck getting a job there, partner. Well, this is the Country Computer Consultant signing out. See ya.